So, good morning and welcome to eBase Sports. It's the time of the year that we get excited about, and it's the start of the English Premier League, in which we'll be focusing on. So, the Premier League competition gets going this weekend. In fact, on Friday, we'll have Manchester United coming up against Fulham. And a lot of activity has been taking place in the window. We have Julian Alvarez of Manchester City. He has gone to Atletico Madrid. There's a limbo with one player, Conor Gallagher from Chelsea, and that should be a swap deal with some monetary aspect of it taking place. With Joao Felix, the Portuguese, heading the other way to Chelsea. We have seen Manchester United doing some very great business in this window. Also, West Ham has done some prolific business. And of course, Chelsea, as always, have been spending millions in the window. So we have seen where Wan-Bissaka of Manchester United has gone on to West Ham. And of course, West Ham have gathered pace and steam in the window with some quality acquisition. In fact, the only team in the top flight football in Europe that has not gone on yet to do any business at all is Liverpool. They were in line to get Zubamendi from Real Sociedad, but that deal fell through after he said yes over 2 weeks. So Liverpool is yet to make a signing. All the other clubs in the top flight football in Europe has done some transaction. But this is an exciting stage of the Premiership each year, as the transfer business tends to excite us. But mark you, teams are not threatened just by transfer. It's what's done in training that makes a team the formidable team that they're supposed to be. So to enter the next season, we want to look at if the opening round of the fixtures. We have a Manchester United versus Fulham. Or will that game go? We cannot tell. We are not sure. It's early days yet. But looking at what Eric Ten Hag has done, we're forecasting that it might well be a Manchester victory over Fulham team. Of course, Manchester, as I said before, has done a number of transactions. Getting in the 2 players from Bayern Munich, releasing some players that are not up to par with the team. But I think Manchester United still need a quality and a formidable number 6 player. I think that's what's lacking for Manchester United. So Manchester United and Fulham, the scoreline, maybe it could be 3-1 for Manchester United. I don't know what the Manchester fans will be saying about that. But based on my forecast, I'm predicting that it could mighty well be 3-1 in the opening game on Friday. We look at other games for the opening round. We have Ipswich Town hosting Liverpool, Arsenal hosting Wolverhampton Wanderers, Everton hosting Brighton and Hove Albion, Newcastle United hosting Southampton, Nottingham Forest hosting Bournemouth, and West Ham United hosting Aston Villa. And those games are slated for Saturday. So in the early kickoff on Saturday morning, we see Ipswich hosting Liverpool. What will that game have to offer? Ipswich, one of the newly promoted team to the Premiership, hosting a formidable team in Liverpool. Over the years, Liverpool have been consistent, losing out by 1 point to Manchester City, and that happened 2 seasons. Yes, for the last 5 years, 2 seasons they lost by a point, solitary point, and they have been consistent. In fact, last year was the year in which the Manchester City and the Liverpool top two saga was interrupted by a quality Arsenal team who many pundits and fans would have said should have gone on to win the competition. Some persons blame it on the fact that Saliba, one of their proper defender, got injured in the latter part of the season. That was a year before. And then last year we saw some hiccups with Arsenal toward the latter stage of the competition. So many persons have it that Mikel Arteta is doing a very good job. And I would say same. I would agree with those fans who are saying Arteta is doing a wonderful job at Arsenal. And this year they seems like they can go all the way. Many of the pundits are saying this year is a year for Arsenal. But we'll get to Arsenal in a bit. But as we see Ipswich and Liverpool, the breakdown of the teams, Liverpool still have a number of talented players. They haven't lost any player, which is good. A number of youngsters have gone out on loan and are being sold. Like Fabio Carvalho, he has been sold to Brentford for £27.5 million. But the other players are just some of the young squad members, some young players coming through the academy. Some of them have been loaned out, some of them have been sold. All right? But the core squad of the Liverpool teams remain the same with a Alisson goal. You maybe have a Trent at the right back, a Van Dijk, a Jarrell Kwanzaa. In midfield, they have a McAllister, a Zabazoi, they have a Elliot Cantona up front, they have strikers. But what? They lack a number 6 player. Who will become Trump or become big for Liverpool in that position this year? They argue that Ryan Gravenberch may well step up, but can he do a great job? McAllister was there in some part last season. Can he do a great job this year again? Or we'd want the team to flourish with having McAllister in an offensive position? Time will tell for Liverpool. But they have a quality team and a quality squad. But it's early days for the new coach. We have been used to urging Klopp over there, and we know what Klopp can do. We know Klopp can get 100% out of a player who is performing at 20%. That's urging Klopp for you. A great coach. We will miss that rivalry with Klopp and the Pep Guardiola. Ipswich, Liverpool, maybe 4-0, maybe 5-0. That's my call. Maybe a 4-0 or 5-0 for Liverpool over Ipswich. That's my take. And of course, we have heard that Calvin Phillips should be on his way from Man City to Ipswich on a loan deal. But Calvin alone, he won't assist the Ipswich Town. Moving on to Arsenal and Wolverhampton Wanderers later on in the morning, about 9 a.m. Jamaica time. Arsenal definitely has a formidable squad. Their only weak point is that central striking position. I honestly think Gabriel Jesus should be sold. Not even loan, but should be sold. He doesn't cut it for me at Arsenal. He should not even be a squad player at Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus should be sold. He's not an out-and-out striker. He lacks the quality. He just is not good enough to represent Arsenal at this stage. And he is the weak link in this Arsenal team. They have gotten in that wonderful defender. Yeah. Good goalkeeping. Yeah. The defenders are up to it. Yeah, the midfielders are up to it. Odegaard, up to it. Martinelli, they are up to it. A lot of talent in that middle of the pitch for the Arsenal team. And up front, they are wonderful. But I tell you again, they lack that quality out and out striker. And that will be key for this Arsenal team. So Arsenal Wolves, and in fact, we all heard the news earlier on in this week that Wolves has lost their craft striker, Pedro Neto, to Chelsea. How many players are Chelsea gonna buy? So far, they has bought over 8,000 players in the summer. Are they gonna move it to 9,000? They have a squad. One of the biggest squad is Chelsea, only to be rivaled by Man City. But Chelsea have a squad. I don't know how many minutes some of these players will get. Maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5. Because this Chelsea squad is huge, fans. It's a huge squad for Chelsea. But guess what? Many pundits doesn't have them in the top 4, not even top 5. Are they good enough? They have quality players. Yes, they have quality players. Can they have the camaraderie, the niche, the togetherness? Not quite sure on that one. Not quite sure. But I'm taking that Arsenal could sweep Wolves by maybe 5-0. Saka may score 2 goals, with 3 more coming from the rest of the Arsenal teams. I am forecasting a 5-0 game for Arsenal over Wolverhampton Wanderers. Next up, we have Everton and Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton, each year you have a team that surprises us. Brighton did it one year. Villa did it. Newcastle sneak in one year. So each year I have a team that just sneaks into the top 4 and disrupt the algorithms that pundits have predicted going into a season. Which team this year can do that? Not quite sure, but there is a team that will do that. It happens every year. So Brighton, and of course Brighton, they lost a number of top players throughout the years. A number of players they have lost throughout the years. Caicedo, McAllister, a number of players they have lost over the years. But the team normally remains consistent. They fell off last season, but they normally remains consistent. Everton, Brighton, I forecast a Brighton victory over Everton. Maybe a 2-1 victory for Brighton over Everton, with that game being played at Everton. But I forecast a Brighton victory over Everton. Newcastle, Southampton, next up on our fixture listing. And we are forecasting that Newcastle will defeat the newly promoted Southampton. Southampton, they have returned to the Premiership, and they'll come up against a very strong Newcastle team who is financially able and stable to spend. They have the spending power, this Newcastle team, since the takeover of their new owners. So I'm forecasting that Newcastle should go on to beat Southampton by maybe 4-1. Alexander Isak is well ripe, and it's a fruit ready to be picked. He should get going from day 1 of the season and take Newcastle on that victory road. Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, another good game to look at. Bournemouth, they have lost their prize striker, Dominic Solanke, who have moved on to Tottenham Hotspur for well over £65 million. Wow, what a purchase, what an acquisition. This is great business for football. And with Solanke moving to Tottenham, he's a natural goal scorer. He did for England at the youth level. So he should continue to thrive in that form. He also did at the championships, scoring over 20 goals, just like he did last season. So, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth. I still think, despite the absence of Solanke, which will have some effect on the Bournemouth team, but Bournemouth should still get over the line versus the Nottingham Forest. They should still get over the line with the Nottingham Forest. In fact, you know what? I think I might call this a draw. A 1-1 draw with a Nottingham Forest. They might get a 1-1 draw. Because, of course, Forest has had some quality players in their team. West Ham United versus Aston Villa. Oh, what a showdown. A quality Aston Villa team last season that did so well with the likes of Leon Bailey and the company. They were great. Ollie Watkins, what a striker he is. Oh my God. Coming up against a re-energized, a reorganized West Ham team. But you know what? This game will be played at West Ham. And can I tell you, I'm predicting that West Ham United will get the better of Aston Villa. Maybe 3-1 or 3-2. But West Ham United, I am calling this one for West Ham to beat Aston Villa. Yes, I'm calling it that way, for West Ham to beat Aston Villa. We move on to Sunday in the Premiership, and we see Brentford with the brand new acquisition of Fabio Carvalho and the company coming up against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace has in their lineup that defender who is earmarked by a number of teams, but can't seem to find the funds to get Mark Gui. This should be a great game. Crystal Palace, Brentford, Ivan Toney up front. Also, he's being sought after. I am predicting at home that Brentford will get the better of Crystal Palace. 2-0? Yes. We'll call this 2-0 for Brentford over Crystal Palace. And then the big one on Sunday, the two best squads in the Premiership. Chelsea up against Manchester City. Oh, what a game this will be. Tell you what, we cannot write off Manchester City. Despite Chelsea acquisition and the number of talents in their squad, this should be an interesting game, and what a mouth-watering contest to start the weekend of the Premiership. Should be a great one. Should be a great one for the eyes. Moses Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez. Wow. Quality players. Cole Palmer. Wow. But that is Manchester City for you. I'm calling 2-1 for Man City. Despite the game will be played at the Bridge. Last year we saw a number of times where the Bridge was flooded out. But this is a brand new season. This is a brand new season. But Manchester City should get the better of Chelsea on Sunday in a mouth-watering contest. You can't afford to miss that one, football fans. You have to be in front of your television. So get your beers, your alcohol, your apple vodka, whatever you need to have. But this one is one to watch in that early hours of the morning, mid-morning game. And then we round off our opening weekend with Leicester City hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Leicester is a resurgent team. Tottenham is a warm team. They're up and down, hot and cold, which makes them a warm team. But with Solanke, let's see how they will thrive. Would you believe me, I'm looking for an upset in this game? I am predicting that Leicester City will hold out to Tottenham with a 2-1 victory. Yes, a 2-1 victory for Leicester City. And that close out our weekend fixture. This is Garfield Fuller for eBay Sports. Catch you with the results of these games early in next week, and we'll look at round 2 of the English Premier League. I would just want to say bye for now. For those who are tuning in, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel for further info.